Hello and welcome to Forever Rugby on Fair Sports. And some very interesting news after South African duo Piers Schoeman as well as Dylan Richardson have been named in the extended 36-man Scotland training camp ahead of the autumn internationals. Now, quite an interesting story because of how quickly it all has sort of developed. And another South African that will be putting on the blue of Scotland and sort of turning their back really on Springbok rugby, which I don't think is the worst thing. I think, we get quite caught up in this whole sort of issue. A lot of people didn't like the fact that Johan van der Merwe, for example, plays for Scotland, plays for the British and Irish Lions, stuff like that. Now, this is two very different cases in terms of players who have obviously born in South Africa, played SA schools, played SA under-20, both of them, and then will go on to, at this stage, represent Scotland. Before we sort of dissect this and look at the Scotland's squad itself, please do smash a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. Right, now, we saw a story emerging a couple of days ago that Dylan Richardson was apparently sort of in the plans to get a potential Scotland call-up, and in theory, could actually play against the Springboks in the autumn internationals. South Africa are scheduled to take on Scotland in the second international of their touring, or individual tour, on the 13th of November. And with Dylan Richardson and Piers Schoeman having been called into the squad, they could very well be featuring in that sort of match day 23. And the minute either of them pull on a Scotland shirt and run out, that makes them ineligible for Springbok selection. Now, what's quite interesting about the two, as I said, is that they're two quite sort of different sort of cases. Now, Piers Schoeman's been in Scotland for a while. He's been playing in Edinburgh for a couple of years. He's sort of been in and around that sort of setup, and that's kind of how he's made his way into the Springbok squad. He kind of left South Africa and sort of South African rugby quite a while ago and hasn't really sort of featured with. I mean, a lot of people probably didn't really know about him. And, he used to play for the Bulls, but probably had sort of forgotten about him until we saw him playing now his last couple of weekends. Dylan Richardson has never played rugby outside of South Africa, but qualifies for Scotland through, he's got Scottish ancestry through, I think, his grandfather. He's got British citizenship and stuff like that, but obviously played SA under-20s. And it's going to be quite interesting sort of the reaction that somebody who didn't necessarily go to Scotland with sort of no sort of residency or citizenship and sort of do the whole 3-4 years where you can then qualify and go on to represent Scotland. And instead, he has played his rugby in South Africa, featured for South Africa under-20s, done it all, and then now will go from South Africa and join the Scotland squad and potentially play for Scotland. So I'm quite interested to sort of hear what people's reactions are. I personally don't really mind it. I think that at the end of the day, he does obviously have dual citizenship, and you must play where I think you feel at home. And I think there's also a certain amount of a career move. And, as Dylan Richardson, you're looking at that Springbok setup and you're thinking, and even the larger sort of South African teams, and you're thinking as a loose forward or as a hooker, for example. I mean, even right now, he hasn't quite settled into which position. It looks more like he's sort of settling on the flank. But as a loose forward, that is probably one of the toughest positions in South African rugby to try and break through into the Springboks. Springboks already have a world-class loose trio. And then you've got the likes, you're looking at some of your local teams, and the likes of the De Pre brothers, for example, can't even get into a Springbok shirt. Renard Elstad can't get into a Springbok shirt. Then you've got the likes of Evan Ruiz, Pepsi Buthelezi, Vincent Shatuka coming through, Anal Rick Lowe coming through. Arno Botha, Marcel Coetzee. The amount of loose forwards in and around the country. Johan Gister's not playing. Chris Clutie, for example, has been playing very good rugby. A lot of people have been calling for him, but it looks like he could also probably go on a similar sort of route. But it's probably one of the most difficult positions or sort of to try and break into within the South African setup. So as Dylan Richardson, you must be sort of sitting there thinking, there's no chance I'm playing 50 caps for the Springboks. It's very unlikely, for example, or it would have to take a lot. I think he is very highly rated, and a lot of people do think he probably could go on to play Springbok rugby. But will he ever become a Springbok legend? Probably not. I just think that there's too much talent within that Springbok setup to sort of guarantee the fact that he would go on to have a very big career. He's 23 in January, so he still had plenty of time. But I think he's saying that I reckon I can get into that Scottish side. I can go and play, 10 tests every year, and I can really compete to be one of sort of the best sort of in the world in that Scottish squad, where I might not be able to do it in South Africa. I think for Piers Schoeman, he's not even on the Springbok radar. He's not even being touted as a potential Springbok. So I think for him, the decision was quite simple. I don't even think that it was a matter. I don't think playing for Springboks was probably even on his mind. It was all about if I get a call up, it will be for Scotland. He's 27 years old, so he's also got years ahead of him. But again, prop is just one of those positions in South Africa where there are so many good props in and around. He again probably has a better chance of playing for Scotland. If you look at some of the Scottish the players in the Scotland squad, The likes of Ollie Kebble is obviously there. We've seen VPN Nel being part of the Scotland setup, obviously doing for the Merva. Something like Jacob van der Walt played for as Scotland captain, not part of the squad. Carl Steyn is part of the squad though, so there's been a sort of South African flavour to the Scotland squad for quite a long time. And whether you agree with it or not, it's kind of the reality, and that is the rules and stuff like that. But let me know what you think of the decision to go there. I personally don't mind it. I think that Dylan Richardson has made a very good career decision, and we also don't know what the family history is like. We don't know, has he sort of been raised and very much sort of been quite in touch with Scotland or the UK and stuff like that. So is there a certain amount of, I want to represent the country where my sort of family's originally from, or is it purely a career? I want to play international rugby. It's very, very difficult to do it for the Springboks. Therefore, I'm going to take the easier route and try and play for Scotland. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Smash like on the video and subscribe to the channel as well. You look at the Scotland side, there's no Finn Russell, no Stuart Hogg, because the test against Tonga, which is what this has been called up for, falls outside the official international sort of period. Players in the UK and the top 14 weren't available for selection. So a couple of new faces in the squad, but a lot of the sort of the British and Irish Lions, your likes of Hamish Watson is there, Ali Price is there. But no top 14 players and no Premiership players. So let me know what you think of the two that are involved. Do you think there's a right decision, or do you think it's making a bit of a cop out? Because some people are saying it is a cop out, saying that you're not willing to fight to play for South Africa. You're going to go the easy way around. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. My name is Stephen. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll chat to you soon.